Welcome to the deep dive, everybody. We're going to explore something that, honestly, you interact with every single day, probably without even realizing it. Algorithms.
Algorithms, yeah.
And guess what? We're not just going to talk about how they, shape your online worlds and all that. We're actually going to dive deep, no pun intended, into how you can actually leverage these things for personal and professional growth.
I like that.
It's like, turning those downsides, those potential downsides, into really powerful opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, we always hear about these negative aspects of algorithms, but you know what?
Yeah.
The truth is they can be really, really powerful tools if we just understand, how to kind of work with them.
Right.
And that's our goal today, is to help you build what we call an anti-fragile digital infrastructure.
Anti-fragile. Okay. I've never heard that term before.
Yeah, it's a fascinating concept, and it's especially relevant to, in the digital world. So just imagine a system that doesn't just, withstand shocks and stressors, but actually benefits from them.
Wow.
That's anti-fragility.
Okay.
So in the context of, our digital lives, it's about creating an online presence that not only, survives but thrives amidst all this constant change and uncertainties of algorithms.
Okay, I see. That's starting to make a little more sense.
Okay.
But how do algorithms even play into this?
Right.
I mean, I know there are these things that control what I see online.
Yeah.
But how do they make me fragile in the first place?
Well, so think about it this way.
Okay.
Let's say you spend a lot of time on social media, right? And you mostly engage with funny videos or clickbait articles. So what happens is the algorithm starts to kind of pigeonhole you.
Right.
It thinks oh, this is the kind of content this person likes, so let's show them more of it.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're stuck in this loop. You're seeing the same type of content over and over.
Right.
And this can limit your exposure to new ideas, different perspectives, and valuable information that could help you grow.
So it's almost like I'm trapped in an echo chamber of my own making.
Precisely.
Okay.
And that's where the concept of anti-fragility comes in.
Wow.
By diversifying your online presence and being intentional about the data you feed the algorithms, you can break free from these echo chambers and create a digital environment that supports your goals.
Oh, I see. So if I understand you correctly, the first step is to become more aware of how algorithms work and how they're currently shaping my online experience.
Exactly.
Right.
And it all boils down to the data that you generate through your online activities. Every click, every comment, every article you read, every video you watch, it's all data, right? That algorithms use to create this profile of your interest and preferences.
Oh, so it's not just about what I post online. It's about everything I do.
Exactly.
Even the things I don't share publicly.
Yeah, it's your entire digital footprint.
My digital footprint.
And the more aware you are of this, the more control you can exert over how algorithms perceive you and what they show you.
I'm starting to get a little scared, actually.
Oh, no.
Now, this anti-fragility thing, can you give me a real-world example of how that works in the digital world?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say you put all your effort into building a really strong LinkedIn profile for professional networking, right?
Okay, yeah.
But then LinkedIn's algorithm changes and suddenly your posts aren't reaching as many people.
Right.
Now that can feel like a setback.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. But what if, in addition to LinkedIn, you've also cultivated, a following on Medium by sharing thoughtful articles and engaging in industry discussions?
Okay.
Or maybe you've built a community on Twitter. Yeah.
By sharing insightful commentary and connecting with thought leaders.
I see. So if one platform's algorithm throws me a curveball, I've got other avenues to reach my audience and achieve my goals. That's brilliant.
Exactly. You're less vulnerable to changes on any single platform because you've diversified your online presence.
Right.
And that's digital anti-fragility in action.
I love it.
And not only does this make you more resilient, but it also forces these platforms to compete for your attention.
Right.
Right. Which can lead to a richer and more rewarding online experience overall.
Okay. So we've got to be mindful of what we're feeding the algorithm and diversify our online presence. What else can we do to build this anti-fragile digital infrastructure?
Well, let's talk about deliberate data sharing.
Deliberate data sharing. Okay, so if I'm always clicking on those "which Disney character are you?" quizzes.
Well, the algorithm might think that you're more interested in lighthearted entertainment. than, professional development.
Right.
And that's okay if that aligns with your goals.
Right, right.
But if you're looking to, advance your career or dive deep into a particular subject, then you need to be more intentional about the data that you're generating.
I'm starting to feel like I need to clean up my act online.
It's never too late.
So what are some concrete steps I can take to share data more deliberately?
Well, one simple thing you can do is start following thought leaders and experts in your field on platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, or even Instagram.
And that will show the algorithm that I'm serious about learning and growing in this area.
Exactly.
Okay.
And instead of just passively scrolling through your feeds, actively seek out articles, videos, and podcasts that challenge you intellectually.
Okay.
Subscribe to newsletters, join online communities, and engage in discussions that, push you outside of your comfort zone. Yep. So it's about making conscious choices and being proactive about what I consume and interact with online. I like it.
Yeah, and that kind of brings us to another important aspect of building this anti-fragile digital infrastructure.
Oh, okay.
Active content curation.
Active content curation.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not enough to just be mindful of what I'm putting out there. I also need to be careful about what I'm letting in.
Precisely. It's about taking control of your digital diet, so to speak.
Right.
Think of your social media feeds, your news aggregators, your email inbox.
Right.
They're all these pipelines of information, right?
Yeah.
Flowing directly into your mind.
Right.
And if you're not careful, you can end up drowning in a sea of noise and distractions.
Oh, I see what you mean. So how do I actually do this active content curation thing?
Well, it starts with an honest assessment.
Okay.
Take a look at the accounts you're following, the newsletters you're subscribed to, the websites you visit regularly, and ask yourself, is this content serving me? Is it aligned with my goals?
Right.
Is it adding value to my life? And if the answer is no, it might be time to hit that unfollow or unsubscribe button.
It's funny you say that. I recently did a major purge of my social media feeds, and it was amazing how much lighter I felt afterward.
Right.
I was following so many accounts that were just adding to my stress and anxiety without providing any real value.
That's a perfect example. And it's not just about getting rid of the negative or irrelevant content.
Yeah.
It's also about actively seeking out content that nourishes your mind and inspires you to grow.
Okay.
So think about the topics you're passionate about, the skills you want to develop, the goals you're working towards.
Right.
Then make a conscious effort to seek out content that supports those aspirations.
So instead of mindlessly scrolling through my Facebook feed, I could be using that time to read articles on Medium about leadership strategies.
Exactly.
Or watch TED Talks on personal development.
Exactly. And here's another tip. Curate your feeds using tools like Feedly or Flipboard.
Oh, okay.
These platforms allow you to create personalized feeds based on your specific interests.
Right.
Pulling in content from a variety of sources so you don't have to waste time sifting through irrelevant stuff.
That's a game changer.
Yeah.
I've been using Feedly for a while to keep up with industry news, but I never thought about using it for personal development too.
There you go.
Definitely going to check that out.
Yeah, I think you'll be amazed at how much more focused and productive your online experience can be, when you take control of your information intake like this. And the best part is, as you start to curate your feeds and engage with higher quality content, the algorithms will start to pick up on your preferences and feed you more of what you're looking for.
Right.
It becomes a self-reinforcing cycle of growth and development.
So it's I'm training the algorithm to work for me instead of the other way around.
Precisely. And that's what building an anti-fragile digital infrastructure is all about. Taking charge of your online experience and using it as a tool for personal and professional empowerment.
This is all making a lot of sense, but in all this talk about algorithms and digital strategies, isn't there a risk of losing sight of the human element? I mean, at the end of the day, we're not just data points.
Right.
We're real people with thoughts, feelings, and values.
That's a crucial point, and it brings us to another essential aspect of navigating the digital world effectively.
Okay.
Authenticity.
Authenticity.
Yeah.
So how do I stay true to myself in an online environment that often feels so superficial and curated?
Yeah, it starts with aligning your online presence with your core values and your real-world goals.
Okay.
So ask yourself, what do I stand for? what do I want to achieve in life?
Right.
And how can my online interactions reflect and support those things?
Okay, so if I'm passionate about environmental sustainability, I could use my online platforms to raise awareness, share information, and connect with others who share my concerns.
Exactly. Or if you're an aspiring artist, you could use Instagram to showcase your work, build a community, and connect with potential clients or collaborators.
Yeah.
The key is to find ways to use your online presence as an extension of your authentic self, rather than trying to fit into some preconceived mold of what you think you should be.
I think a lot of people struggle with that,
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves to others and trying to present this perfect, polished image online, even if it doesn't reflect who we really are.
Yeah, it's a common trap, and it's something we need to be mindful of. Authenticity doesn't mean sharing every single detail of your life or airing your dirty laundry online.
Right.
It's about being genuine, being true to your values, and letting your unique personality shine through.
So it's not about creating a fake persona, but about finding ways to express my true self in a digital space. I like that. But how does this tie back into the whole anti-fragility idea?
Well, when you're authentic online, you attract people who genuinely connect with you and your message.
Right.
You build relationships based on trust and shared values, which are far more resilient than those based on, like, superficial likes or fleeting trends.
So even if the algorithms change or a particular platform loses popularity, I've got a solid foundation built on genuine connections.
Exactly. And those connections will follow you wherever you go, online and even offline.
Yeah.
They'll support you, challenge you, and inspire you to grow in ways you never imagined.
That's a powerful thought. So we've talked about deliberate data sharing, active content curation, and authenticity. What else do we need to keep in mind as we build this anti-fragile digital infrastructure?
Well, I think it's important to remember that building a strong online presence takes time and effort.
Yeah, it's not something you can achieve overnight just by posting a few selfies or tweeting a couple of witty comments.
Exactly. It's about consistently showing up, engaging with your audience, and providing value.
So it's like building a garden. You have to plant the seeds, water them regularly, and tend to the soil.
I love that analogy.
To create a thriving ecosystem.
Yeah, and just like a garden, your online presence needs constant nurturing and attention to flourish.
So we need to be patient, persistent, and willing to put in the work.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do it all alone.
Right.
There are countless resources available to help you along the way.
Yeah.
From online courses to communities to books and podcasts like this one.
Right.
There's a wealth of knowledge out there waiting to be tapped into.
And speaking of resources, I think it's a good time to remind our listeners that we've compiled a list of helpful tools and resources mentioned in today's deep dive.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can find them in the show notes or on our website. We've got everything from social media management tools to content curation platforms to tips for building an online community.
We really want to empower you to take control of your digital life and use it to achieve your goals.
Absolutely. Now, I know we've covered a lot of ground today, and it can feel a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I want to emphasize that you don't have to implement all of these strategies at once.
Yeah. Start small, pick one or two things that resonate with you, and experiment.
Okay.
See what works for you, adapt as you go, and most importantly, have fun with it.
That's that. It's about making this journey your own and finding what feels authentic and fulfilling.
Exactly. And remember, building a strong online presence isn't just about like boosting your career or expanding your network. It's about becoming a more well-rounded, informed, and engaged individual.
It's about using technology to connect with others, learn new things, and make a positive impact on the world.
Beautifully said. And that brings us back to the whole purpose of this deep dive, to empower you to use the digital world to your advantage.
Right.
We want you to walk away feeling confident, inspired, and ready to take charge of your online destiny.
So as we wrap up this part of our conversation, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What's resonating with you so far? What are you excited to try out?
You know, I'm particularly intrigued by the concept of active content curation. It makes so much sense to be more intentional about what we're consuming online, just like we are with the food we eat or the books we read.
I completely agree. And I think the key takeaway here is that we have more control over our digital experience than we often realize. We don't have to be passive consumers. We can actively shape the content we see, the connections we make, and the impact we have.
Absolutely. And that's a powerful realization.
It really is, and I think it's a message that honestly bears repeating. You have the power to choose what you consume, who you connect with, and how you use your voice online.
That's right. And that kind of brings us to another important aspect of building a strong digital presence, one we haven't really touched on yet.
Sure.
Consistency.
Consistency. You mean like posting regularly on social media or keeping my website up to date?
Yeah, that's part of it, that it goes like deeper than that. It's about showing up authentically and consistently, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're not seeing immediate results.
So it's about playing the long game, not getting discouraged when things don't go viral overnight.
Exactly. Think of it like building a muscle. You don't get ripped after one workout, right?
Right.
It takes consistent effort over time.
Yeah.
Same goes for building a thriving online presence.
So it's about showing up, putting in the work, and trusting the process.
Precisely. And remember, consistency doesn't mean being like boring or predictable.
Right.
It's about finding your rhythm, your voice, your style, and showing up in a way that feels authentic and engaging to you.
So if I'm someone who loves to experiment with different creative mediums, I could use my online platforms to share my journey, my process, and my insights, even if it's not always like polished and perfect.
Exactly. And that's what will make you stand out from the crowd. People are drawn to authenticity, to realness, to seeing the human behind the screen.
So it's not about trying to be someone I'm not.
Yeah.
It's about embracing my quirks, my passions, and my unique perspective.
That's the key. And when you do that, you attract people who resonate with your energy, your values, and your message. You build a community, a tribe, a group of people who support you, challenge you, and inspire you to grow.
That's what it's all about, right? Connection, community, and growth.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of the digital age. It gives us these like unprecedented opportunities to connect with like-minded individuals, learn from experts around the world, and build relationships that transcend geographical boundaries.
It's amazing when you think about it. We have this incredible tool at our fingertips, but it's up to us to use it wisely and intentionally.
That's a powerful reminder. We can choose to let the digital world consume us, or we can choose to use it as a force for good, a platform for creativity, and a catalyst for personal and collective transformation.
Well said. Now, as we approach the end of our deep dive, I want to circle back to where we started with this concept of anti-fragility. What are some key takeaways our listeners can apply to their own digital lives?
All right, here are a few things to remember. First, be mindful of your digital footprint. Pay attention to the data you're generating and make conscious choices about what you consume and share.
So it's not just about posting the perfect selfie. It's about being aware of the bigger picture, the data trails we're leaving behind.
Exactly. Second, diversify your online presence. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Explore different platforms, experiment with different content formats, and find what works best for you.
So if one platform's algorithm changes or a particular trend fades away, I'm not left scrambling to rebuild my entire online presence.
Right. Third, curate your feeds actively. Don't be afraid to unfollow, unsubscribe, or mute accounts that don't align with your goals or values, and seek out content that challenges, inspires, and nourishes your mind.
It's about taking control of our digital diet and making sure we're consuming information that's both enjoyable and beneficial.
And finally, be authentic. Let your personality shine through, share your passions, and connect with others on a genuine level.
Because at the end of the day, it's the human connections that matter most.
I couldn't agree more so. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought. Don't be afraid to experiment, to evolve, and to make the digital world work for you. It's a powerful tool waiting to be harnessed.
It's been a fascinating conversation, and as always, we encourage you to continue exploring these ideas, share your insights, and connect with us online.
We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.